All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talking That Talk Official Podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Juice Fowler, aka Knowing There Brother, aka a Rising Pharaoh.
All right, what's good, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X. We appreciate everybody for tapping in, returning viewers. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, for anybody that's viewing us for the first time, we meet and surpass your expectations.
Ooh,
Well,
okay. That's something new. I like that. I like that. You been waiting to say that?
nah, freestyle that, man. Freestyle it, man.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, look, sit down, man. We got work to do. We got work to do.
Yeah, so conversation for tonight. Do we make things happen or do we make things hard? Okay, so this is a little introspective. We do more than just talk about relationships and all that shit. We talk about a little bit of everything. So kicking it off, well, do we make things happen or do we make things hard? I would just simply say some of us really don't properly look for the correct challenges in life.
Okay.
We run away from challenges. We think any type of opposition is automatically negative, and we don't properly use the energy. You know what I mean? Like we have great philosophers from Napoleon Hill, Vincent Van Peet.
Mhm.
All these people believe that nothing makes a great man but resistance. So it's the resistance that allows that man to tap into his great energy. You have even people that turn themselves into millionaires. They like, yo, I had to get in the ring with somebody because I felt like I was getting soft. Life was just too good. I ain't had no opponent, nothing. Life was just too good. So I just had to get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So you do have people that always look for the easy route out in situations, and you do have people that actually enjoy a good challenge. You know what I'm saying? A good sparring match, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever the case. You do have people that enjoy a great challenge. So I'm not saying go out and get the most negative challenge you can get and constantly trying to overcome the same obstacle. I'm not saying be insane, but you do have to properly manage how you deal with your problems. Some people say I don't have problems. I have learning opportunities. So your
Oh.
vocabulary is also important if you're
Mhm.
gonna like put your quote unquote problems on the table. So
Man, I don't even
yeah,
no
we
more.
have this whole, you know what I'm saying? We got some people with this mentality of um, I make shit heavier. You know what I'm saying? Like they find ways to have more challenges. You know, when shit gets too easy, they just, like I said, they find different ways to challenge themselves so they continue to grow. So that'll be my opening on that is do we make things happen or do we make things hard? So I want to like first off get into positive spaces of quote unquote how we can make things hard in good ways. So pause.
Okay.
Okay.
Was that a question, or you want me to comment?
No, that was my pause. I said make things
Yeah,
hard.
I
Good ways. Pause.
like.
But
I
go
mean,
ahead. You got it.
after you did that monologue, I do believe so. People do make things happen or harder. The things is, the more you resist, the more you make things harder. That's the crazy part, right? You know what I'm saying? People be like, I don't die. Eventually, later on in life, you gotta die. You know what I'm saying? It's things you can already start implementing into your health or different things of that nature, like learning new things, experiences, and being out there with people that you're not familiar with that can also strengthen you and build up your relationships. That is definitely a true factor. Me, I'm not a person that's content with like anything. So me, I have to go against resistance. I got to throw myself out in the fire. I need to be around. Like I said before, man, I like being around people that are smarter than me. It lets me know I still got ways and developed myself, right? If you're always the smartest person, you don't think, why I need to pick up another book to read. Right now, I'm on a 25-day challenge as we speak on 25 different books. Yesterday, it was the little words, how to talk to anyone. Today is the power of habit. Like I said, it's just things I want to put into my brain to make me a stronger person. That's why I don't see myself ever wanting to not grow. It's so much power in knowing something, right? What's the thing? You can never know more than what you don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
I always keep that mentality in my head with an open mind when people are like, hey, do you want to learn? Like, some stuff I'll be like, nah, I don't want to learn about it. But then again, I'm always in a situation where if I know just a little bit, it helps me in a long run, right? For instance, I don't always ask people, what do you do for work? What's your occupation? I use the words, hey, how do you spend most of your time? They're gonna inform you how they do it. Some people are like, well, I spend most of my time working. Well, I spend most of my time, to my kid. It gets you on a path where, you know what I'm saying, if you necessarily always throw out the occupation of what they do for work, it's a limiting factor. Like, oh, okay, they want to know what I do for work. If I want to, it's my respect level for this individual, or it can be on the basis of, okay, depending on what I do for work, he might try to do, or she might try to do something networking wise. You know what I'm saying? It's usually you just gotta use different language when talking to people. So that's just something small I'll throw in there.
All right. Tapping into going back to that problems, man. I forgot. Vincent Van Peet. His whole philosophy is properly manifesting things, right? So he said a person came to him and they complained about all their problems. So he said, okay, cool. He was like, he was asking him, how do we get rid of all his problems? He was like, I know a place. So he gave him the directions to the cemetery. And he was like, that's the only place where don't nobody have no more problems. So his whole philosophy is sometimes problems properly is a sign of life. It's a sign of being alive. So his whole philosophy is like the intelligence and the intellect that he has, he would undermine himself to fall to a problem. He thinks I have the IQ to handle a problem properly. So, like I said, a lot of people welcome more challenges because it pushes them even harder. You know what I mean? Like I heard somebody say, yeah, write a problem down on a sheet of paper, get up, move to the other side of the table, turn the paper, then read the problem. You know, so it's just different exercises just to see it from a different perspective. Literally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my cap on that. But I would just simply say for anybody that's trying to make something happen, a lot of times people don't realize the first step is the hardest step. Just getting the shit in motion. You know what I mean? Like after that, everything else should be easier. Of course, you're gonna have challenges because now it's like, okay, do I quit? Do I fold? Do I switch up? You know what I'm saying? These are the kind of things that probably go through someone's mind, but the first step is always the hardest step. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're a content creator or whatever. Getting in front of the camera may be the hardest step for the first time. Actually putting together a lot of people want to do business and they had this entrepreneur conversation, but when you be like, okay, cool, when do we get past just talking about it? When do we put forth the actions? Even if that first step, you might not like the results. You might not like your content, or you might not like whatever it is that you're selling or promoting. But at least you make that first step to just get it in gear. And you can always grow later. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say, man, I don't like the way I look. I want to change my body. I want to change my body. But they never put forth the work. They never go outside. They never run. They never walk. They never go to the gym. They never switch up their diet. They just keep talking about it. So it becomes a certain point to where we didn't talk about enough shit. I'm pretty sure everybody watching then talked about shit they want to do in life, whether it's business, whether it's physical, you know, tangible, non-tangible. A lot of people talk about shit they want to buy in life. You know, like I want that car. Like I want that car. When you go try to buy the motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Like you might start off at the base model or maybe the level above base, but at least you're pushing that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So
that's not that bad.
Yeah. So I would just simply say, you know, the first step is always the hardest step in anything you're trying to do.
Right. So one thing that you did touch about, I do want to give a lesson to that. When he said there was a person that write on a piece of paper on their problems and switch to another side of the table. I have individuals like one time I did exercise with my cousin. It was a business deal. So what he did was explain things to me. He would sit next to me on a business on my right side as a business partner. Then he would switch to my left side, like, all right, now as a lawyer, this is what I would inform you. So he's letting me see the employee aspect of us doing business. And he's letting me see the lawyer side, like, hey, this is what you're agreeing to if you sign it. Like it was good to a point where I understood where it is. You need to, that's another thing I'll say. You need to be able to switch to different sides to be able to better understand situations. That's the best thing ever, right? So for a person, I remember this fitness instructor, I was watching. I can't figure his name right now. But his client says, look at you. With your fit, you don't know what we're going through. So he's challenged himself, let himself gain 30 pounds. And he said, hey, we have the same weight now. So then the guy couldn't complain no more because they're at the same weight. So within the time limit it took him to get back to the weight he was at, the guy was still making excuses, but he still was able to lose 15 pounds. It just shows you it's all mental. If I choose to be lazy, I choose to look like this. But if I choose to do this, I do. It was beautiful, man. I looked that guy up. It was an amazing thing how you broke that down. Another thing I will also say when it comes to situations like this, do we make things happen or more things harder? I would also say don't make a problem when it's not a problem. Some of y'all challenge yourself in certain situations that end up creating a problem. I don't think people understand that, right? Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, look, but if you do that, this can happen. we don't ever look at it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to look at the more you push forward, what are the repercussions? Or, you know what I'm saying? You have people, you have CEOs that was pushing their employees to a certain level. Some of them saying they wasn't sleeping, they wasn't doing this. So the productivity that they once was having within that company is not happening no more because you want to push, 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 push. They're not getting enough sleep, enough rest, whatever it is. You got to remember, people still got their own time to do whatever it is that recharges them to make them be more productive. We got to be able to do that. We need to recharge ourselves. We do certain things. X just talked about fitness right now. I just went to the gym for the first time since last November. I've been doing minimal exercises. I know how to eat. Due to, you know, my employment situation, I'm always doing cardio. But, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, when I got back into the field of working out, I was like, yeah, this, you know what I'm saying, I feel good now. You know what I'm saying? I forgot what it feels like. And that's another thing. We got to get back into the motion of doing things that make us feel good, right? I'm barely in the gym, you know what I'm saying? My arms look like this. They just look like this, you know what I'm saying? I would just say that. But anyway, you know, I'm in the mirror doing this.
You woke up like that.
You know what I'm saying? Doing my thing.
You woke up like
that. Yeah, curl motherfucker, yeah. I'm in my mode. I'm in my zone working out. I'm not paying attention. It's somebody on the side of me like smiling and laughing. And it was, and a girl was over there just looking like, and she looked at me, she's like, but I was like I said, you got to throw yourself in the zone and get that resistance again to know how good it felt. You know what I'm saying? My body feel like shit, man. I already ate. I'm eating again, but then I realized because I'm working out, my body's going to want to feed more. So that's why I told X earlier, look, I'm coming back on alcohol for the month, doing a book challenge, all that. Do things that's going to give you the results you want. I like a small stomach, and I like my chest and arms big. That's me.
All right. Cool. One thing that hit me with this, man, is I noticed some people look for signs too much. They look for some type of message from the universe or from God that it's time or this is my path. Fuck that. Sometimes you might not get your signs that you're looking for until you get in motion. So it's always power and taking control over your own destiny. You know what I'm saying? It's always power in that. You make the moves. You make shit happen. You make the stars align around you. You self-law and master. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's not going to have the same type of points of recognizing that this is what I should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people, you know, look at 50 Cent. Okay, cool. You can probably be getting into your rap career and dude got shot 9 times. Okay, that pushed him further along through his career. His rehabilitation process was crazy. He was like, in order for him just to rehab in his neighborhood, he was like, it was psychotic for me to do that in the same neighborhood, but I felt like that was a challenge that I needed. So he went running every day in his neighborhood, the same neighborhood that he's vulnerable in, just to get that feed off that energy. He had a little gun in his cast. He had somebody with him. Then a half a mile became a mile became 2. So, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people just really, they tap into this whole looking for signs things differently. Sometimes you may get a sign at the beginning. Sometimes you may get a sign in the middle. Sometimes you might not get a sign to the end. Some people like reach the pinnacle of whatever they feel is successful. And then at the end, they have people come to them and say, yo, you changed my life. Your story was deep. Yo, you great. You the shit. Sometimes you may not get your flowers or the signs that you're looking for until later. You just mentally just have to keep putting in the work if you're really true to what you're trying to accomplish. So before you look for signs from the universe and you're looking for water to move in a particular fashion and all this kind of shit, and a crow at night that comes stand on your fucking patio or whatever you're looking for, just put in the work. Be true to what you're trying to accomplish and put in the work, and then maybe you can get those signs that you're looking for later. You know what I mean? And then you have some people that get signs early and they move even faster, and sometimes they can be like a good and bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, revelations is not what we should live for. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you may or may not be able to handle what's being revealed to you. Just because something get revealed to you, it still don't mean that you don't have to put in the time to decode the message. A lot of people don't do that. They get a sign, they okay, I'm gonna run with it. No, just slow down. Yeah, slow down, put in the work, and you'll get the signs or confirmation or recognition or whatever that you may get that you're looking for later after the job is done. Just focus on the job get the job done. So
Right. I definitely gotta agree with that. We have people that don't necessarily know how to focus a lot of times on what they got in front of them. Earlier today, I was pitched out a certain opportunity. I was like, hey, look, I already know what I'm doing for this year. I'm getting one physical trade. I'm getting one digital trade. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting people know, look, I'm sticking to this, bro. I like, and the main thing is getting the physical trade first because that actually requires me to be in school. And
mhm.
I got to stay on the course of path for what I already have planned out. Now, do I believe in alternate routes? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, you need to be able to make sure the direction you was already going was the ticket or not. You know, a lot of people, that's what a lot of people forget, right? You might have the A and B plan right then and there. Somebody says, hey, what about this? You forgot the A to B. You going to A to C. What happened, bro? We got to get back focused on those habits and those, you know, that's what I said. The book I'm reading today is The Power of Habit. Those habits are everything. This is why we grow, why we don't grow, why we want more, why we don't want more, why our health. Like I said, I keep talking about health a lot because that's one of the main things y'all forget, like the resistance, uh, muscles getting tore down, all that stuff is one of the easiest things I can help identify for people is even the situations you go through, be able to push through all the bullshit. Well, it was something you said earlier that really kind of that caught my mind. I'm trying to recall it right now, but I just can't. But one thing I also say when it comes to the subject is, uh, if you need assistance, ask for assistance. I feel like people get to a point where they want to do everything on their own. I can tell people that shit is not fun. People, and what kills me the most is people who always brag about they did everything on their own, and you ask them, but you chose to, right? And then they want to get mad, like, well, I had no choice. Like, no, did you ask? And then, you know, it's weird that we're in a state of mind where people who didn't ask for help or assistance and did everything on their own, and when somebody asks them for help or assistance, they don't want to do it. They want you to do exactly what they did. But they did what you did do, was ask for assistance. You decided to go through the mud. And there was a walk path right there on the side. You wanted a stronger resistance. You got it. Took you longer too.
And I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I get a little personal on that. Sometimes, really, like I find myself in the spaces where I realize I carry that complex, and it comes from not having the choices of asking for help. And if you ask for help, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times people really get turned down, like 95% of the time. You know what I mean? So sometimes I gotta check not my ego, but just check that trauma into constantly being used to doing shit for myself to be able to ask for help. But one thing about help is you may not get the help that you want, how you want it, but you're always going to get help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you ask for it or not, it's kind of like the universe kind of like works in your favor, even when you don't realize it. You know what I mean? Like you might have somebody come and have a conversation. You might be need money right now to pay some shit. Like right now is the shit's due. Somebody might come to you and have a random conversation with you, get your energy high, give you a book title. You have to connect the dots. You have to know first how help works and how the universe works. Sometimes you get that indirect or that direct help. You know what I'm saying? So you most definitely want to be able to ask for help. But like I said, it's some people out there, they was dealt a fucked up hand. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people ask for so much help and got turned away that it kind of gives them that traumatic experience with help. But one thing I would say is a lot of people don't really make moves because they fear failing. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people that want to start their entrepreneur aspirations, but that first step is so hard because they want it to be perfect before they make that jump. And I'm like, nah, you just got to jump. Just jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be a lot of times where you may not be happy with the results or even the process, but you still have to get into that process. The longer you take to get into that process, somebody else is already full swing, midway there, whatever. So somebody is always ahead of you because Nas said some shit in his music, no idea is original. You know what I mean? Like somebody else is already thinking the same shit that you're thinking.
Right.
They're just putting in
They
motion.
just decide to act.
You
They
know what I
just
mean?
decide to act on it.
Right. So sometimes you just got to act on that shit and let the pieces fall into play later. You know what I'm saying? Like you may be so serious and adamant about what you're trying to do. You might meet the right people along the way You might tap into the right investors. You might tap into the right connections, but people have to see you working, see you in motion to take you serious enough to even contribute or add to what you're trying to build. But you can't only move when you think the shit is perfect. It don't work like that. That shit is
Right.
gonna take you longer just to get the first step. The first step is the hardest step. You know what I mean? So it's like even with this podcast, like man, it's a lot of shit. We didn't know what the fuck we was doing. We was trying to do audio, we know what the fuck we was doing. Try to do camera, we know what the fuck we was doing. Some of the shit came out good, some of it came out bad. You know what I mean? Like we started doing lives. Now the lives are at a different level. Now you putting questions in the Q&A box, and you know what I'm saying? Like you learn more when you're already en route. But if you think you're just gonna master this shit before you start, you're wrong. Life don't work like that. Life don't give you that much time. Now I may give somebody else that opportunity, but that don't mean you get the same opportunity. So I
Exactly.
would just simply say, like, for people that want to get into business or whatever, just take the fucking step. Just figure it out as you go. You holding yourself back by fearing failure. Failure is a part of the game. It's no way around it. Failure is part of the game. Whether you're a parent, you're an entrepreneur, you're working for somebody, you're in the gym, whatever. Failure is part of the game. The only way you're gonna learn sometimes is through failure. There's no way around it. Even if you think you navigated around that shit, you got your GPS locked in. I figured that out already because somebody told me not to do this. You still gonna run into some type of failure. It never fails. You know what I mean? But you have to accept that as part of the process, and a lot of people can't accept it. The ego get hurt, they get emotional, but that's life. You know what I mean? Failure is gonna either make or break you. Like they say, pressure either produces diamonds or it busts pipes. Like sometimes that's the only way. You have to get into that space where you don't fear failing. And then that's when shit happens. A lot of people find it's easier to tap into with sports. Like if you're trying to go for that game winning shot, game winning touchdown, of course failure is on your brain, but the adrenaline is so high that you can take that shot, hit or miss. I can't remember what Jordan said. He said I made a lot of clutch winning shots, but he really had a number on how many that he didn't make, and it was probably like over 100, probably I don't know, throughout his entire career that he missed, buzzer beaters that he missed. But we only tap into the ones that were successful. Like sometimes you're gonna lose more than you win if you scale it like that. But the whole focal point is, did you win? Do people remember you for the shit that you succeeded at? Of course, you're gonna fail. A lot of people not gonna even really remember that shit. So that's all I got on that. Don't fear failing because it's gonna happen. So,
Yeah. I would say, failure is part of life. You want to get on that Mr. Smith style. Failure is inevitable. And we don't talk about the fact that, like I said, you can take a loss and turn it into a learning lesson. You can take
mhm,
and do things on a productive level, right? And
mhm,
that's why it's very important that you go over anytime you lose in life, you want to go over the steps that caused you to lose. What was it? You know what I'm saying? You can look at the fact that Johnny missed the free throw, or you missed the fact that look, I did make a bad inbound pass, which was a steal. You know what I'm saying? It's more things you got to be able to go back into details and just realize how did you get here. I look at my relationships like that, right? Any relationships I built, whether it's on a romantic, friendship level, I look at the past before I make a final decision on what just basically took place right then and there. Like I said, I told you last week, I had to cut off communication with somebody I was cool with. I realized during that situation, you know what I'm saying, I'm being disrespected. I'm expecting you to act a certain way. You chose not to a point where if that situation was on you, I would have handled it. You know what I'm saying? And when relationships are really not the same for me personally, I either stop communicating 100% or I do it to a minimum. It's just all about a relationship at the time that was built in. That's why I always said at the same time, the best test is the indirect test when you have a relationship with somebody. Because
mhm.
that's just a whole bunch of, that's just time in doing this thing. You know exactly where you stand. Uh, we got to get to the fact that what is it that we don't like about resistance? Like, the push and pull. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. I even had a theory in my mind, even when I was reading books at the time, where people don't read books because when you was taught to do it in school, it wasn't enjoyable. If you read during school, then they're like, "Hey, you want to read outside?" I ain't read no motherfucking book. I'm about to go have fun. Ain't nobody want to do that no more. Like I said, it's things that people forget. There's power in that we never want to do outside of it if it is a need to be done, right? I was talking about the dinner thing, right? Some people never learn dining etiquette, right? And don't know why they didn't get the job or position. What if I told you most of your clients is going to happen through a lunch or dinner, a lunch or dinner meeting, right? It's not even about the fucking food. It's the conversation and how well you conduct yourself and how you do everything. Like I remember I had a dude named Peterson before. And he told me the whole time during this meeting, the guy didn't know I was there to judge him on his table manners. Nothing else. And he lost. He just thought he was just eating it like we're good time buddies. And this is the position he wanted. All that matters as you move forward in life, right? So it's things like that we got to be able to take into consideration and move forward. Is understand what do you think is not necessary or unnecessary. Still do that shit anyway.
Right, right. Most definitely, man. 100% I agree. You have to balance your perception. You have to. You have to be able to look at things from different perceptions just to get to just really like not even a solid perception. Like that's just how it works. Like you really it's a continuous grind. Like you have to really look at every opportunity, look at every role that you play and whether shit succeeds or crashes and evaluate every step. Whether it's a relationship, it's a promotion, it's a business thing, whatever. You have to be your biggest observer and your biggest critic within the positive sense, not the toxic shit. You know what I mean? Like you have to constantly evaluate shit. You know, one thing that struck me with Kobe, he was like, look, in my career, when I came in, I could jump, I could run, I was fast. The older I got, I didn't have that. I couldn't jump as high as I used to. I couldn't run as fast as I used to, but that's okay. I'll find another way. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn, if high profile athletes, authors, whoever could really balance their perception just to produce the results, who the fuck am I to just say I only can do it this particular way? You know what I mean? Your strengths and your weaknesses are gonna constantly change. You know what I mean? So you always have to balance your perception in order to gain the result that you're trying to tap into. But that stubbornness comes in play, that ego come into play. And a lot of people only want to win the way they want to win. And it's like shit don't work like that. You know what I mean? Like life is a chess match for people that play chess. And then some people can be like, look, if I box and I play chess, I see that boxing is a chess match. So personal experience, I started training a baby girl in boxing when she was like 6. So we just did 1-2s, couple of dodges, couple of blocks, and I could tell like that did a lot for her. You know what I'm saying? She had a foundation, stance, all that shit. So she getting older, so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna introduce you to these hooks, these uppercuts. We're gonna work on a lot of footwork. You know what I'm saying? Shit that you actually gonna practice that's real time situations, angles, all that shit. So it's not just 1-2's foundation. Nah, I got it. Nah, it's always something to learn. It's new punches, it's new angles, it's new situations that's gonna be on the table. So when we say like life is like chess, do we really know what we're saying? Chess is you have to think like 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 moves ahead of your opposition. So you have to kind of like forecast what's going to happen before it happens. So in a healthy sense, you really have to balance your perception. Even if you 2 moves ahead and your opposition switches how everything's moving, you still got to be ready for that too. That's just, you know what I'm saying? Some people play dominoes like that as well, whatever. A lot of people just think like that. Like I can have every move planned out to the T, but if you make one move outside of what I thought, I got some shit for that too. So
Mhm.
you really just have to balance your perception in order to be great. So a lot of times, a lot of people just the GPS routes may always change, but as long as you get to that final destination, that's what's key. So the ego, the stubbornness, a lot of people have other shit going on, anger problems, whatever. But you really just have to be able to deal with that. Sometimes you're not going to reach your goals the way you thought you were going to reach them. Like, uh, you have a lot of people like, let's look at J. Cole. J. Cole's first love was basketball, but he got successful at rapping so much that he was able to play basketball overseas.
Later
But
on.
if he didn't become a successful rapper, he wouldn't have been able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you really just have to know that just because you dream something and you think that's your first love, you still may not be able to tap into that until you take another route just to get there. Well, I mean, it happens a lot. Michael Shee's first love was boxing, but the fitness world allowed him to be able to box because he made so much money within the fitness world, he was able to pay for his boxing career. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. Sometimes you really just gotta slow down, be humble, and just reevaluate your life at the pace that it's going. So that's
Oh
all.
yeah, correct, correct, correct. I said that in another episode of podcast. Like sometimes, whatever your destination is, uh, do be able to take alternative routes to get there. Right.
Mhm.
If I know the dream car I want is like $300,000. Fuck it. Let's just say it's a Wraith, right? Whatever. If I'm working a job that's like 50 grand a year, that's gonna take
Mhm.
me at least a minimum of 20 grand. I mean 20 years plus just to save up the money to get it. But what should be going to your mind is, okay, if it's 300 grand, what other jobs would at least get me up to 100K, 75K? Do I have to go back to school? Do I need to get certificates? We got to
Yep.
think of multiple ways to get to where we want to go, right? I just
Mhm.
talked about it on the last podcast, man. Like I never thought I wanted to drive trucks. That's never my fucking thing. I've been scared of 18 wheelers when I was a kid. Man, I ain't want to do that
Mhm.
shit. I kept on trying to look for drivers and hire to get into that field. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm about to just take myself to school and do it my damn self. Right? Because even though that's a business I want for myself, I'm not scared to learn it at the same time, just to get some things going and get it in motion, right? See, there's a difference between when you make a business and you don't know it, and you're in a business and you know it well. You get fucked over more going to a business you don't know about and just want to go on word of mouth versus if you actually the person who was in the industry and you're like, yo, I know how this works. That's why I can understand when I was having conversations with certain people, they would get upset about the stuff I'm saying. Like, yo, I've been doing this industry for like 10 years, bro. What the fuck do you know? You know what I'm saying? It's like you trying to spit in their face, but see, if I'm giving them options outside of the industry, it still can open their minds depending on how I'm pitching the message, right? If a person said, "Look, uh, I had a friend that was in project management, right? They had did all these test subjects, right, with this one T-shirt, but they never did an outside project, meaning they got the opinion of other individuals outside that company to feel the material. Would you wear this? Would you dress it? Like, if you don't do stuff like that, and when it comes to your products, you fucking just go broke because you being dumb, you being naive. You got to run different test subjects and routes to make sure this is the material that's wanted. It's the colorations that gets people's attention, right? That's what people don't got to memorize, right? It's color, variety, and material all comes into why people keep buying your things, right? If I
Mhm.
put on a shirt and make me feel itchy, why the fuck would I wear it? Because the colors look good. I'm
Mhm.
not doing that. Like, no, I need
Mhm.
all test subjects to be aligned.
Facts, facts. And just to get a little bit personal, man. So my car experience, I won't get so personal to where I disclose information I don't want to. But so I had a car, my second car note. I got fucked on that deal terribly. But we paid it off. It's paid it off. Cool. Boom. So motherfucker broke down so much. I'm like, look, I'm done. I'm done. This is it. So at the time, the car that I really wanted was like $50,000 car. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wanted it. You know what I mean? I started seeing this car SUV. drive around a lot. So I'm like, but cool, boy, whatever. I'm not gonna do that because I can't afford the shit. Right? That's what I'm thinking. So my shit break down, break down, break down. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. So I'm finna get a new car. So no bullshit. I spent the whole week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, just studying, just just looking up information on cars. Trying to buy a car. I'm looking at Benzes. I'm looking at Range Rovers. I'm looking at leasing car. I'm looking at Cardinals. I'm looking at everything. I'm just really, I'm locked in. I'm missing work. I'm like, but I gotta lock in. I'm my next move gonna be my best move type shit. You feel me? But I'm already over the car that I really want because I'm really not thinking. I'm so much in survival and what's convenient that I'm not really considering that.
Right.
So
Right.
eventually I go to the lot. I had to get a ride because my shit was broke down. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just put like 30 racks on just paying this bitch off, not including repairs. So I'm like, you know what I mean? So I go to the lot. I want a used car. I already know what I want. I want a used car. It's a car that I wanted, SUV, used. I already know what I want. I'm locked in. I didn't already forgot about what I really want. You know what I mean?
Right.
So go to the lot. We do the numbers. They're like, yeah, it's gonna cost this for that. I'm like, for real? Yeah, because it's used. It's gonna be a little extra. But they say, look, are you interested in this new blah 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 we got same year? You know what I mean? We in 2020, 2019, so it's a 2020. I'm like, fuck it, let's test drive. So I test drive both vehicles. You know what I mean? But I'm still locked in on the cheaper shit that I want. You know what I mean? I'm locked in because I'm thinking cheaper is better. Even
Right.
though I really wanted this other shit. I done already spoke this into existence for my universal people, my spiritual people. So when they did the numbers, I'm like, fuck, I can get the car that I wanted from Jump for a cheaper note, even though it's a higher value. So that's my experience. That's anecdotal to the conversation. If you're looking for the universe to work into your favor, like I didn't get the sign. I seen a lot of these cars move around before I even wanted another car. It was just like some shit. I'm like, yeah, I can see myself driving that shit. You know what I mean? So I got into a tough situation. I already figured out the easier route. It was the cheaper vehicle, but the cheaper vehicle really wasn't cheaper.
Mm.
So I ended up in the shit that I wanted from jump just by going through that process. But what people didn't see is the years of paying shit off my credit profile, studying credit because I didn't know what credit was.
Mm.
So I had to teach myself what was credit. They don't see that struggle. Paying shit off my credit profile, learning the credit game, understanding credit card usage, 15 to
Mm.
30% utilization on your
Mm. Mm.
total usage.
Mm.
They didn't see that. So from like 2015, 2016 for sure to 2019, I actually like struggled just to build my credit, just to even be able to accept the signs that the universe was giving me. So sometimes you really have to put in the work, whether you realize the universe is watching you or not. And then if you're looking towards the universe to get the signs or not, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be cut off somewhere because you still can't overlook the work aspect. You still have to study, do your due diligence. I always struggle with that word. I always struggle with that word. That's a tongue twisting word for me for some reason. But you still got to put in the work. Even if you're looking for signs and shit, you still have to do the foundational work in order to be able to accept the signs when they come. Some people just look for signs, then they move. That's not the right play. You know what I mean? You could be clearing up your credit for something else. You're not even thinking about a vehicle, but you get into a jam, now you need a V. I got the credit now. You know what I'm saying?
You
You
got the
know what I
credit
mean?
blood. You got the
You know
credit
what I mean?
blood. You got
Because,
the-
but look, I can give you another backstory. In 2013, when I was trying to get a V, I didn't have that. So it wasn't no Mr. Bowers. What how you doing? You want to sit down? Let me talk to you. It was like, yo, the energy was different. It was like, this nigga really wasting my time. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was a different experience. You know what I mean? So
Why he here?
the
Why he here?
the story, look, not to be too long winded, but the story just to get what I wanted, you know what I mean? Even though I really wasn't pushing for it, it started years before I even knew the process was going. That's how life works. Sometimes you can be in the process of something that you don't even know you in that grind and that hustle mode. You're just trying to clear up something for something else. And then you can get into a jam and something else can fall into your lap. You know what I mean? Some people can say that's a blessing, that's God or whatever, but I would just simply say, like, I put in the work. Even when I didn't know I was working for it, I put in the work. But the perception is like some people can see you in that car that you pushing, that's, you know what I'm saying, a couple of figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, whatever, but they don't know how long you've been working towards that goal.
Right.
You might not even know how long you've been working towards that goal until you put all the pieces into play, but you have to continuously take action. Fuck all that easy shit. Fuck all that convenient shit. Sometimes you really just gotta grind, make shit work, make shit happen. Sometimes you may struggle to do it, sometimes you may not. I know a lot of people that's smart and great, but they only move when it makes sense to them. And those people scare me because a lot of times you're gonna make moves that really don't make sense to you at the time because not everything is gonna be the way you want it to be. That's the trick of life and manifesting shit, whether it's business, personal, whatever. You're gonna have to work in situations that don't really seem like they're always in your favor. I mean, I know people that want to get into personal speaking, writing books, all this shit. You just gotta do it. Your first 2 or 3 books, your first 2 or 3 speaking engagements or whatever, it may be trash. Who gives a fuck? You're gonna learn from that experience. I'm young, but I'm old. I come from that attitude era of wrestling. So when we look at like Triple H, we see this nigga, his name was something different. Hunter Hearst Helmsley in the beginning. Like he had long blonde hair and shit. Stone Cold Steve Austin was called the Ring Master in the beginning of his career. The Ring Master. A little flamboyant white guy with long blonde hair. Nobody know him for that. They know him as Stone Cold Steve Austin. So sometimes you just really got to get on that path. The Rock was called Rocky Maivia. You know what I mean? He was not called The Rock at the beginning of his career. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you just really got to put in that work, get in motion, and then shit up. Hopefully work in your favor as you go on in motion. So that's all I got, man.
Yeah, that's too much, man. I didn't know we was gonna stop. But no, one thing I'll also say is when you go on these paths, like yeah, for instance, like the title of the episode, I was already talking to somebody earlier today, and they were like, "Hey, I can pay off this credit card, but I won't have no money in my account." I said, "Don't ever do that."
Mhm.
I said, "Never deplete all your funds just
Mhm.
because you feel like that's the most convenient or best thing to do for you." I always
Mhm.
tell people, look, I'm a capital person, bro. I want to keep as much capital in my pocket, and I want to pay the minimum, or sometimes just pay double on what it is. I'd like imagine if you did pay off your balance, now you have no money. Now what if another emergency happens? You can't do nothing. You asked out. So I'm bringing it down to it like, yo, never get to a point where even if you can pay things off 100%, just keep working on the payments. The payment process is one of the cheat codes in life, right? Everybody's like, yo, these people owe millions and billions of dollars. I'm like, yo, they're professional borrowers. uh, they're professional
Yeah,
borrowers.
yeah,
If I got 100 mil, guess what? I can borrow 100 mil because I want to keep 100 mil to myself and just pay the minimum payments, baby. I'm gonna get rich off that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I got to make sure when I do, break down certain things to people, they understand. Like you get your mindset used to payments, doing certain things of that nature. Now some people be like, "Yo, just pay it all out at once." I mean, cool. I mean, I hope you still got funds left over, right?
Mhm.
Like if something was like 50 grand, I had 75, bro. I'm still keeping 75. I'm not paying no 50. Like I never know when I might need 50 again. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that we got to be able to take into consideration. Like they said, when it comes to resistance, because although some things seems like the best options, you got to always look at the long run. You never know when those funds are needed in situations you might come about. Uh, sure, we got to get into money and stuff, but I will also say when it comes to this resistance mentality, don't be like I said, mentors. I always preach about mentors, guidance. Listen to people older than you, people that's your age, and listen to people younger than you. I made a post on my Facebook today. I was like, "Hey, look, in today's time, we got to throw out age Everything is literally mentally at this point in time. The younger generation are outdoing the older generation, but the older generation have tougher skin than the younger generation. I was like, there's just pros and cons within both age limits, but it's all mental at the same time. Older
Mhm.
person always tells you what, back in my time, people was tougher and doing all that time. Cool. But in my time, they richer than y'all now. So why does that care? Why do we matter? You know what I'm saying? We talk about the e-commerce boom. Uh, they're younger. There's younger millionaires. Actually, the youngest person, youngest billionaire was Kylie Jenner. She was like before 20 something. So I was like, yo, so there's information that's out there that gives us the equipment to build faster than y'all. But at the same time, y'all have the experience of having more deals than us that can help navigate us. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you got to be able to take two, uh, you know what I'm saying, two of the opposites and still just be able to learn from both. That's pretty much it on me right there.
Facts, facts, facts. So going back personal, getting closer towards the ending. I notice a lot of people, man, if you really talk to them about what they want to accomplish, they can give you at least 10 things wrong and maybe nothing that can go right. So a lot of times you can psych yourself out of success because you're only focusing on what can go wrong.
Whew.
That shouldn't be your focal point. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people really put a lot of energy into what they don't have, what they can't get access to. You know what I mean? Like just imagine how the world would work if like people like Nipsey, you know what I mean? Like his first computer that he built as a teenager. That was a computer that he first recorded music on. You feel me? But what if he said, look, this computer is not up to date. I don't have Pro Tools and all that. Just record the fucking music. Let people know you're doing music first, just so they could, you know what I'm saying, give you that kind of energy. And then we can upgrade the tools later. Just step out there. You know what I mean? So a lot of people really just I really back away from people that have conversations about everything that can go wrong and nothing that can be right. And even if they talk about both, I gotta look at your balance and your ratio. If you give me every fucking thing that can crash before you even take a step, you're a dangerous person. I gotta limit my space around it because you may fuck me off in my thinking. You know what I mean? So that's always what you want to pay attention to. When people give you solutions, do you still give them problems? If they give you, you know what I'm saying? We talk about money, like you can get on payment plan. Yeah, but the payment plan can still do this because yo, I'm done talking, bro. You know what I mean? I'm done. I'm done at that point because you still creating more problems that ain't even there yet. That's the power of what you're doing. You working against yourself. You hustling backwards without nobody else involved in your shit. You doing it yourself. You know what I mean? So that would be my shit on that. And just word to the wise, man. When we first started this podcast, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what the fuck a podcast was. I never watched a podcast. I can't tell you. I just seen people talking in front of microphones. I'm like, yo, niggas getting paid for talking? That was my perception. Niggas is talking and getting paid. I can talk. You know what I mean? I can do that. But I didn't know the concept, you know what I'm saying, the topics and what was going on within society. I didn't know none of that. I just seen people getting paid to put some headphones over their ears, put a microphone in front of their face. I'm like, I can do that. But I figured out what a podcast was later after we got in motion. I didn't study every podcast in the world and see what the top people was. I didn't care. I didn't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? I seen the avenue. I jumped into that space. I jumped into that lane. You know what I'm saying? Whether I had my failures or successes along that road, that's up to me to decide and people to give me that feedback. But yet alone, I didn't master the craft of podcasting before we stepped into it. I know a lot of people that know me personally that's like, I feel like I know you even more just through the podcast, even though I already know you because you're growing within what you're doing. So a lot of times you really just got to get the fuck out there. Don't think you have to master some shit that you don't even have experience in yet just to get your foot in the water, your toe in the water. That's like if you try and learn how to swim. A lot of people don't even want to get in the fucking water. The water too cold, it's too deep, it's too something. They never learn how to swim. You know what I mean? So get in the fucking water. That's my cap off.
Dive out the deep end, nigga.
But don't drown. That's the disclaimer. We're not saying just jump in water.
You know what I'm saying? You
But
gotta
yeah,
build the airplane while you fly it. Sounds crazy, but hey, you can do it.
yeah, them niggas was obsessed with flying. People don't know that though. They was
Right.
obsessed with that shit.
They got called crazy for all that. But I'll also make a comment. I'll play devil's advocate on that. On the same you made earlier. Sometimes being pessimistic can also make you powerful, right? I knew a dude who told I was watching a TED talk. He said, I was so pessimistic, that's the only reason I became successful. I was like, what? And he was like, he's like, yo, I used to think all the time, what if somebody just beats my ass? He started training. He said, you know, what if I'm not able to pull myself off a cliff and it's a dire live situation? I started working out. He said, what if I don't get the girl I like? I started becoming more sexy. I'm like, yo, bro, like he gave you his pessimistic views, but he made solutions to it. That's why I do believe in, like, you be so pessimistic, you psych yourself out, but you be pessimistic as long as you have the solution to it. Don't always think of the negative things that happen that you don't train yourself for the better outcome. And I was like, damn, bro, it really struck me in the head. That's why when I hear people that's so pessimistic, I'd be like, so what's the solution? Then they have a solution, right? I contacted this young lady earlier today, and I was like, I see this kind of meme, so I kind of just comment on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to do that with you. You know what I'm saying? She was like, well, look, you know, I'm not, you know, I haven't opened up to somebody in a long time, and you know, my father was like, yo, so what's your solution? Don't even know a solution. Like y'all know y'all problems, but y'all don't have no solutions.
Never thought about it.
That's why it'd be funny to me that you know, people always do a self-diagnosis of themselves. Be like, yeah, you know, I have OCD, I have this and that, and I'd be like, have you ever got diagnosed for that? Well, I read on it. You know, I feel like I have it. I'd be like, yo, man, like, yeah, I'll be putting shit that's there on yourself. And then remember, I also said the mind has a acceptance to where you can actually believe. You put yourself mentally in that situation, you start becoming it. So you just like actors have that bad, right? They act in so many roles, they don't even know which role to go back to, or if they can even go back to their normal self. So just put a little spin on, you know, a little butter on the gravy or something. You know what I'm saying? Butter on the rice.
Yeah. Butter on the rice.
Little butter on the rice, man.
Yeah. I'm done on that one, man. If we can't get nobody in on it, we can wrap that one up.
Definitely. Questions are open. Anybody want to drop a question before we close it out? I'll go ahead and give it about 30.
Yeah, you got like 30 seconds, man.
About 30 seconds, because look, I still gotta eat. Like I said, my body is changing so much.
I ain't
one day.
I ain't put my food in the microwave yet. We gotta eat, man.
Did you read what he put?
Yeah.
He a clown, bro.
Let me read it fast.
Sure, man. In fact, hold on, man. He always.
I'm like, wow.
This guy is always being hilarious, man. Let's see if he go pick up for the first time, man.
First step is the hardest step, right? The first step. Yeah. Oh, some people first step is admitting they got a problem. Some people first step is getting into action. First step, that's why I say it's the hardest step. Either way you look at it, you know.
All right, man. I think we're gonna wrap it up, man. Trey and pick up, man. Maybe we'll pick up another time, bro. So what's the links there where they can follow us, man? You do that way better than me.
All right, so Facebook, IG, YouTube, Talking That Talk Official Podcast, Twitter, Talk That Talk 100, TikTok, Talking That Talk Official. Follow us on all platforms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And don't forget, like, we're still looking for social media people to help give us some direction and get this podcast off. Y'all know anybody, send them our way. Thank you. You know, we'll give you a shout out. I'll buy a product for you and feature it on, you know, next to the candle of the week. You know, do stuff like that.